If you are ever looking at opening up your own mortgage brokerage, or you just want to be inspired by one of the most badass females in the mortgage industry, I have great news for you. This episode, it's for you. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus, you are tuned in to TLOP with me, Dustin Owen, and a very special guest by way of upstate New York. She is a former D1 athlete, UConn Huskies, field hockey player, currently resides in Erie, Pennsylvania, and she makes a living helping mortgage professionals launch their own brokerage. We connected almost a year ago because she cold called me, and I'm a mark. She is my new friend. She is with TLOP. Her name is Megan Marsh. Meg, welcome to TLOP.
Thank you so much. It's exciting. I almost wore my UConn shirt. I know how much we do sports here.
Yeah, you should have. It's March Madness.
It is.
Both men and women tend to dominate in college basketball at UConn. Question for you.
Yes.
10 or 15 years ago, did the women's field hockey team dominate also at UConn?
Yes, we went to 2 NCAA Final Fours, won 3 Big East titles, and we missed it by 1 game, national championship.
Whose fault? Who do you blame for that national championship? We're going to put someone on blast right now?
No, there's no fault when you have a team.
It's a team sport. You're absolutely right. Of course, you're a collaborator. Of course, TLOP, the name of your company. Of course, you wouldn't throw anyone underneath the bus. But who'd you lose to?
We lost to Old Dominion, undefeated the whole season, 17-0, and lost in the final game.
Were they the better team, or did they just have the better day?
They recruited a lot of international players. So I remember I had to mark this Argentinian 25-year-old who used to, you still remember those things, right? But you don't forget it. You don't forget those moments. Those are so cool when you experience something like that with people.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, the way I understand field hockey, and I don't know the sport that well, but my parents are from Maryland. It's a big sport up there.
It is.
In the kind of that northeast, Maryland all the way up to New York, similar to lacrosse. I look at it as if it was like lacrosse meets soccer meets hockey, but on a field.
Yeah, and I love lacrosse. I started playing after field hockey. Like, the stick slows you down in the ball, and you have to bend over, so you get really strong legs. But, sports you don't even realize I was talking about this with one of my teammates. You don't realize the lessons you learn that you take into adulthood until you get there.
Yeah.
And the things that people taught you and your coaches. And, I'm just so grateful for that whole experience. And watching my kids now play sports, it's just special.
So let's jump into it.
Yeah.
Let's do
it.
Some people, it's so funny. We get the trolls and the haters. I think they love the show, but they're like, just get to the point. I'm like, y'all, maybe that's why we have timestamps. Like, did you ever think about checking the timestamp? It takes us a while to get warmed up. Plus, I think what makes a show like this popular is we show the human element. We're not robotic. We're not pre-scripted. We're humans with a background, and that background a lot of times plays into
what we do
and where we are in life. And it's like your background as an MLO is every reason why we're here today talking about TLOP. So in the intro, I introed this as seriously, if you are looking or you think you ever would have an interest in opening your own brokerage, okay, going out on your own, being truly your own boss, you should get to know my friend Meg Marsh. You're the one person in this industry that you run a business where it's a how-to guide for anyone who wants to get started.
Correct.
And for many people, regardless of what it is in life, they don't get started because they don't know how.
Right.
They don't get started, they don't know how, and they don't know what resource. So today we're like, hey, look at Meg, there's your resource.
Right.
But I don't like having anyone on the show that doesn't have clout. When I say clout, I don't need you to be a big name like, oh, I had Barry Habib on, or we just had on Chip Gaines. Like those are big household names. Chip Gaines, obviously on a national level, but Barry Habib, within the mortgage industry, everyone knows those 2 big names. We have had Barry on. We have not yet had Chip on, but it's on the agenda.
Yes.
Still trying to work his people, my people, have some connections. So that's why we tease it all the time. But I want people to know, the person you're listening to is someone you should listen to, not because they read something in a magazine and now they're here spitting it. No, they lived it. They have the wounds, they have the scars, they have the experiences, they have the medals.
Amen.
They have the medals. right?
The wounds and the scars.
Of course, yeah, but the wounds and scars come with the medals. Like when I'm reading through your bio, I mean, all I see is recognized by Success Magazine, recognized by NAMBA, recognized by Scotsman, like recognized. Like, yes.
The highlights reel.
Yeah, it's a highlight reel. It's pretty awesome, pretty cool accomplishments. And today, you run a company that you can franchise your
Correct.
own mortgage brokerage.
Correct.
And that company is called CoLab.
That is correct.
But you also, if you didn't want to franchise and you wanted to actually just go out on your own, you have a company that can teach us how to do so.
Correct.
So we are going to get into, on a high level, what does it mean to open your own brokerage? What are the requirements to open your own brokerage? And then why would someone choose franchise versus going out on their own? I'm assuming there's a risk reward component to it.
Correct.
But before they do, I want them to get to know you a little bit professionally.
Yes.
So when did you enter into the mortgage industry? What year?
2005.
And why?
It's actually, and it's part of my story. So I share this with my team and other people when I, speak. I was an accountant, had the best job of my career in Manhattan at Ernst & Young, working at Lehman Brothers before it crashed.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's some
In the World Trade Center.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so that's what I did. And when my husband now asked me to marry him, he talked me into moving to Erie, Pennsylvania.
I heard that's a happening place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just bangers going on at Erie all the time. Probably a great place to raise a family. Not necessarily a place I'm going to pick to vacation next year.
And, for anybody listening, I think one of the hardest parts about making big outside of the box decisions, like, we're going to talk about opening a brokerage, anything. I had so many people telling me moving to Erie, Pennsylvania, starting to invest in real estate, right? Opening a business along the way would be the worst decision I'd ever make.
2005, you're working in New York City, an accountant for a top four.
Correct.
A top four accounting firm, right? Do you have your CPA?
I didn't. That's
okay.
When I
on
jumped
your way.
out.
Yep, on your way to your CPA. Fast forward 10 years, you would make partner. With partner comes profit share.
Yep.
Truly living out that like American dream for anyone who has a desire to work in the financial markets, right?
Correct.
That was you.
That was me.
Met some dude, fell in love, and he's like, "Hey, if we're going to be an item, you need to travel 6 hours west with me, and we're going to live in Erie, Pennsylvania." What did he do at the time?
So he and his family were selling real estate.
Okay.
And he thought, hey, we could be a bigger fish in a smaller pond. If we move here, we can't buy anything in New York off of what you're making. Let's move to Erie, Pennsylvania.
Now, were they doing the whole fix and flip thing, or were they developing, or?
They were at the time, the biggest team selling in the area.
Oh, so they were realtors.
They were realtors. They didn't own a business then.
So how did you meet him in Manhattan if he was a realtor in Erie, Pennsylvania?
He is also a Division I athlete from UConn.
Ah, gotcha. So y'all met in school, stayed connected.
Yes.
Okay. And then at some point, that long distance relationship could no longer be long distance.
Yes. The day I graduated from grad school, he asked me to marry him.
Okay.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. So that's your story. So you walk away from this quote unquote dream job, dream career.
Yes.
To follow your heart, start a family. You're living in Erie, PA. You jump into the family business. So now you're selling real estate, or did you say, nah, I don't want to sell real estate. I want to finance real estate.
I stuck with the accountant for just a short time. Didn't like it. I was bored. I didn't like not talking to people. So they told me, hey, why don't you try mortgages? And so there was a local mortgage brokerage that asked me to come over to manage their office. And when they brought me in, they weren't paying me a lot. I came in, and for 9 months, I learned the whole business. And I kept going home telling him I could originate. And so he's like, well, I think you should. I was so scared, right? And I think this is something that happens to a lot of people. I was afraid to go commission-based, that it took him coming into that office, meeting with me and the owner. And if anyone knew me now, with the number of businesses I owned and run, it took him coming in and saying, they gave me a choice. You either manage the office or you originate. And he's like, she's originating and she's starting next month. I'm like, okay. And that's how I got into originating mortgages.
So you did that for 3, 4, 5 years. When you were doing that, so you're, I'm guessing, early 20s. Where were you in terms of production? Like, were you coming at the gates crushing it, or where were you? Like, what did production look like for Meg Marsh? Here we are, or mid 2000s?
So I did, because my family sold, I had a hard time getting other agents at first to use me.
No way. I would have never thought about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I right away started going out and getting business from credit unions, banks, other loan officers. And we talk units in Pennsylvania
Yes,
because
we do talk units.
We talk units because the
well
loan amounts are small.
Hey, if you're in Youngstown, Ohio, or
Yes.
you're in Omaha, Nebraska, yes, we definitely talk units.
And so I was at that company for 8 years. The last 5 years, I could not break 150 units.
150 units. There's people on here that can't dream of doing 50 units in a year.
Okay.
When I say people on here, people who tune into the show, right? Because that's a big number to them.
During 2008, 2009, having babies, right? So,
by the way, 2009 was a bad year in mortgage
Was
and real
it?
estate, supposedly.
right.
So I was told.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that. You were doing 150 units.
I was focused.
What was your best year ever?
300 units.
300 units. Was there a pivotal moment when you went from 150 to 300?
Yes.
What was that?
It was the year that I became a broker owner.
Okay.
And I then, at that point, got to control the other half of my checks because the place that I was at was pretty restrictive.
Okay.
That's not the case for everyone, but in my case it was. So I went over, started owning my own brokerage, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's coaching in business and mortgages. I didn't even know there was such a thing. And I started investing in coaching. In the minute, I'm very coachable from being an athlete. And the moment I got coaching, I was pregnant with my third. And I will never forget it. My coach was like, you need to hire someone like now. And I'm like, okay. So I hire someone and paid them strong salary, right? Like a very experienced person. And as soon as I hired that person, he looked at me and said, all right, go find your next person. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, go hire your next person. So I went out, hired another one. And then after that, he's like, you still have one more. I was terrified.
But you were doing 150 units by yourself?
It didn't matter.
Okay.
But yes, I had help. I had a processor who was doing some stuff. But yeah, I was used to working, grinding, the coach really getting those 3 people. The year I had a baby, hired those 3 people, started that brokerage. I went up, I think that year I probably closed closer to 200. Mm-hmm. And then it continued to go up each year after.
Yeah, because you had to find systems, you had to find processes,
Yes.
You had to develop the team because you had the skill set of bringing the business in the door.
Correct.
You knew what to do, you knew how to do it, and you're really good at it, but you didn't necessarily know it on the scalability standpoint. You know what's interesting about coaching? So you know this.
Changed my career.
Yeah, all of us. You talk to anyone who is successful, even CEOs of Fortune 100 companies have coaches.
That is correct. And right now, as I'm starting new businesses, that's the one thing I say, I need to get a coach. And we're not at a point with our new businesses, but I know, I don't care if it's $100, $200, $300, you have to get someone to advise you.
Yeah, I spend $3,500 a quarter on a coach to help us with TLOP. Like this
amazing.
is people like, wait, with a podcast? I'm like, no, the podcast is what's fun and free, but we have a loan officer coaching, training, and development company.
Correct.
That was spun off due to the popularity of TLOP. And I remember it was just like yesterday. I was talking to one of my colleagues at TLOP.
Yeah.
And she was talking about a particular person who's interested in becoming a member of our community, like paying for our coaching. And by the way, Meg, I don't know if you know this, like our investment is so dirt cheap.
How much?
It's $2,000 a year. Okay. $2,000 a year. These people are getting 8 live coaching calls per month. Plus they're getting 50, 60, 70 pre-recorded training videos, dozens of resources, and we add to the library every single month. And it's me for 2 of the calls. It's my faculty for 5 of the calls. And then we always bring in 1 special guest per month. So 8, and if you missed a call, it's recorded. And what baffles me is I specifically had the investment this low so that we can step it up, right? We're at 300 members. When we hit 500, we go up another level. When we hit 750, we go up another level. When we hit 1,000, we go up another level. When we hit 1,200, not only do we go up another level, but now we start being very selective about who we let in the community because I don't need to support everybody. I want to support the right people. But this was a story I was going to tell you that you and I are going to just kind of relate.
We're trouble together.
We're going to relate. I was talking to a sales rep, and the sales rep, man, I couldn't get this person to commit. She was saying, well, I have to go talk to my spouse. And I'm like, look, I get it. it's $200 a month. But honestly, this is my whole heart. I'm going to piss someone off.
Right.
If you can't invest $200 a month into your business, you probably shouldn't be in business. That's how strong I feel. $200 a month. And if your spouse is giving you shit about it,
is the spouse in her business?
Literally, the conversation should be to the spouse. You're relying on me to provide for this family. You're relying on me to bring money in. We need this because I'm going to turn this $2,000 into $20,000 because I need to learn what to do, how to do it, why it's important, what to say, when to say it. And I need to surround myself with people who have already been there, which I love hearing your story because you're like, look, I was crushing it at 150 units. But that wasn't enough. I was maybe a hot mess or I had a lot more in me. And you did. You had double that, but it took you getting a coach. So nonetheless, where's my camera, JC? Whoever needs loan officer coaching, training, development, we offer it. Now, there's other companies that do it and they do it well. But we do it. I'm one of the coaches. I have a phenomenal faculty. You need to invest in your business, invest in your future self. Don't take my word for it. Take hers. Anyhow.
Yeah, because we have a block. It's a fear thing. It's a fear. And why we ask is, I'm going to be taking that much home less, right? That's not how it works. You have to get through that mental barrier.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the phrase, it takes money to make money? Well, it does. You're your first investment. After that, you can look at reaching out to my guy over at Empower LO and maybe actually running some ads, which I know you've had some success with. Mm-hmm. But before you start running ad money or lead money, no, you're the best lead generator, but you have to invest in you first. So shameless plug, the website's tloponline.com. You can go ahead and get a free strategy call. You can talk to one of our coaches. She can show you behind the scenes. You can sign up before the next pricing increase happens. It's baffling. And by the way, the best investment is the annual investment, not the monthly. Because monthly is $200 a month. Annually is $2,000 a year. So you're saving $400 plus. On the annual, we're also giving away CE. We have a partnership with Knowledge Coop. So you're getting a complimentary membership to Knowledge Coop. Yeah, the jam is in the annual memberships. But anyhow, if you can't justify the $2,000 all at once, you can do $200 a month.
Yeah.
You just miss out on some of the added perks. Anyhow, enough for that. So let's kind of fast forward.
Yeah.
So you're crushing it as a mortgage loan originator, making all this money and 300 units. You're in a great coaching program. And then all of a sudden you're like, I want to do something different. Like how do we get to where you are today? Because are you currently producing loans as Meg Marsh?
No. I have loan officers who produce or take the loans in place of me because my focus is now on the other businesses that I own and I run, which are all businesses that support loan officers, real estate agents, and help them make additional income.
So you still have your book of business, you still have your database, you still have your referral sources, but you've built a team of LOs who now service those clients and those referral sources. And then what are the businesses?
Yeah, that, we came a long way from.
What are those main businesses? And then, how can we correlate what you're doing to what the audience is tuning in to learn?
So I'm going to just give you a quick a high level overview of how we landed here. Because I think a big thing for most people with, like we said, the fear mindset with hiring, coaching, same thing with opening a business. Where I was blessed, and I didn't see it as a blessing at the time, was when I was stuck at my 150 loans. I was at a brokerage that had me sign a non-compete and couldn't go anywhere. Didn't feel like I could go anywhere. And I call it my D-Day or my Jerry McGuire day, where the owner thought I was starting my own business and I wasn't. And I came in and literally police escort out of the office.
In Erie, Pennsylvania. They're hardcore, huh? Hardcore.
Listen, but processor walks out behind me. Another loan officer walks out behind me. And I'm like, holy shit, what am I going to do? And I didn't have time to think about being afraid. And so I just had to open a brokerage quickly and start building it. But it was hard, right? Like there was nothing. I remember we got picked for our first audit and I'm like Googling like red flag rules, cutting and paste. There was nothing.
So wait, when you were leaving your original brokerage, were you leaving to open your own or were you leaving to go somewhere else?
I was leaving because I got fired because he thought I was opening my own business and I wasn't. I was at the CrossFit Games.
Oh my God. I missed that part of the story.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, he was afraid that you may be quitting, so he just fired everybody.
He fired just me.
Oh, just you.
And
okay.
I had 2 people walk out behind me.
Wow. Okay. So then that put you in that conundrum of, okay, well, if you're going to fire me, I guess I'm going to go do what you thought I was doing anyhow.
Correct.
But you're like, there's no starter kit.
There's
no manual.
No starter kit.
So, because you could have gone and worked for like I worked for Waterstone Mortgage. You could have been like, hey, DO, if we knew each other back in the day, I just got fired.
Yeah.
I need a good place to call home. I know you've been there for 15 years. Would you mind talking to me about what you like about it? Because I take those phone calls, and 1 out of 7 times, I'm like, hey, let me introduce you to someone there. 6 out of 7 times, I'm probably like, we're not a good fit, or you're not a good fit. You didn't do that.
I was sheltered. I was getting paid 75 basis points doing 150, like just to tell you. Okay.
Lord. Although, hold on.
I was sheltered.
You know what the kids, we'll call them the kids.
Yes.
Like, it's funny. BA's in here. By the way, shout out to BA. BA and I actually worked together at Waterstone. And then now he's been an LO for you for a few years now, right? 5 years. For 5 years. Now, BA never worked directly with me. He worked with my good friends, Bill and Sean, up in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And I think he was at like State College or something. But nonetheless, he's in here with you today. He's in the studio. I love having an audience, even if it's an audience of one. But what people don't understand, the kids don't understand, is when I got in the business, which is around when you did, 2004, I was 100% self-sourced, realtor referred.
Yeah.
I made 55 basis points.
Okay, there you go.
I closed 26 million, which was like 110, 115 units.
So similar.
In 2006.
Yeah.
I made 140 grand, and I thought I was rich.
That's what I'm talking about.
I was like, and I am rich.
Yes.
That's
exactly the same situation. I was so afraid to leave. I wouldn't do it, but I was miserable where I was at. And so, yeah, my Jerry McGuire D-Day happened, which was a blessing because most people, when they're thinking about these big decisions, they're second guessing themselves. They're afraid of what's going to happen. I didn't have time. Like, I literally got shoved into it, was like, I'm not working for anyone after that. I didn't even know other companies because there weren't the Facebook groups. There weren't the podcasts like there are now back then. There was nothing. I knew no one. So I ended up, opening this brokerage. And for 2 years, built a team, grew my business. And I ended up meeting my business partner when I went into coaching.
Okay.
I've always been a team player. And so we took our 2 individual brokerages, combined them into one brokerage.
Was he also in Erie, Pennsylvania?
No, he was in State College.
Okay, so he was still close enough. Like he was in the same geographic region.
That's correct.
Because he's now in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, we've got lots of stories, but
we don't have time for that story.
No,
but hey, you now lend in Puerto Rico.
We lend.
If anyone's looking for a good loan officer in Puerto Rico, hit Megan Marsh up.
Oh, because you don't want to try to learn that. It's been a journey. But yeah, we blew it up together. Together, we closed somewhere around 800 units, just the 2 of us as LOs owning our brokerage.
Wait, any other branches, any other sales managers with teams?
It was the 2 of us with our teams.
Realtor referred, builder referred, past client?
It was about 50-60% realtor driven. Then we combined our resources, hired a marketing director. So we started really getting database referrals that we never had time for before. So that was probably 25% of our business. And then maybe 10%-ish we were generating leads online.
Yeah, I tell you what, consumer direct generation of leads
is hard.
It's very hard. And it's something that for the most part, most successful LOs dabbled in it. Very rarely was that the reason why they became successful. But mark my words on this. Here we are, 2024, just did a podcast episode about the NAR settlement.
Correct.
And
all that.
Loan officers prior to the NAR settlement, I was already coaching them that I think 20% of your resources and your time needs to be trying to figure out consumer direct.
Right.
And that's just looking at consumer behavior with the millennial generation and the Gen Z generation. Right. That was my sole focus. Well, now with this NAR news and this NAR settlement, I'm thinking what I thought was going to be the next couple years, it's the next couple months, we're going to have to get after it. And I'm not saying walk away from tried and true. Tried and true is work your COI, work your database, work financial advisors, work builders, work realtors. But you're going to also have to become that lead generator in your local community where you're the person people reach out to when they're looking to buy a house. And
you
you
can
may have to
refer
leverage some marketing tactics you never had to do before. So it's cool to hear that you and your partner were doing that 15 years ago, because I'm sure with your brokerages now, it's easier for you to pivot into that than it would be for someone starting from scratch.
Yeah. And, this all led to, I don't know whatever made us do it, but after that year when we produced that much, we'd never been retail, right? So we wanted to try. We went over to retail for 1 year with our team. It was not the best move for us because we really had created a system, developed a process and a system, right?
Yeah, you learned this business as a broker. You owned your own business as a brokerage. You pivoted away from broker for a year, and then you realized, you know what, my roots are in brokering.
It just is what it was for us. And so that was the turning point. And you just talked about how LOs need to have these different buckets. And that is probably one of the things that in anything you do, you have to have, you can't put your eggs all right in one basket.
Yes.
Like you can't, you have to diversify, and especially in this market. So that was why I stepped out of originating when we came back. And I said, hey, I never again want to rely on one. I don't want to rely on one person, one company, one thing, one customer. And that was when my job became opening different businesses that helped our brokerage, helped other loan officers. Because by the time you've opened at that point, it was our third brokerage, right? Opening, we knew what we were doing. We'd been through 10 audits. And so we opened a commercial brokerage so we could close commercial loans. Because almost any loan officer, your database, you've got about 35% of people who in some way, shape, or form have self-employed income.
Yes.
Of all the houses that are sold out there, you've got 25% of all single-family homes are bought by real estate investors. And there's a whole pool over there that, residential brokerages and that's not their forte.
Correct. Well, no, it's like pick something and be great at it.
Correct.
Whether it's commercial, be a great commercial lender. If it's real estate, be a great realtor. If it's a residential lender, be a great residential lender. If it's life insurance, be great at selling life insurance.
Yep.
But I'm not a big fan in this industry for those that want to be high earners and high achievers for someone to be a
dabbler,
jack of all trades and master of none. I'm like, no, you want to be a master of one.
Correct.
And once you've mastered that, it may take you 20, 30 years or may take you never. At that point, if you want to maybe pivot or look at some secondary businesses that tie into it.
Refer it.
Yes.
Commercial, you refer it. I deal with this all the time. Commercial doesn't have the same rules as residential. You can, as a loan officer, you can refer a commercial deal and you can get paid on that.
That's your angle. So that is your angle. You open up the commercial brokerage. You already own the residential brokerage. You now have your residential lenders, your mortgage brokers. Whenever they get a commercial deal, they just fling it over to the commercial team who's great at what they do. Let them service the client, let them find the funding, let them get it funded, and then allow the referring broker to receive a commission.
Yes.
Because that's allowed to do. Very similar to that's how our company handles reverse mortgages.
Exactly.
It's like, look,
that is the same thing.
It's like, look, you can refer a reverse mortgage at our company, make 100 basis points, and literally all you have to do is make the connection.
Yes.
And then we'll bring in our Harvard MBA, who himself is of retirement age, and let him sit down and talk.
But a lot of LOs, they want to try to do it. So they'll ask, what bank? And I'm like, it's not the same. It's not the same. And so that is actually something we teach in the lab, which is our course about running your business. And is we do teach the foundations for business owners of, if you want to do this, here's how you have to start. But it takes a while. Okay. And it's a different animal.
So to summarize, and then I'm going to get into the juicy stuff.
Okay.
To summarize, you've owned multiple brokerages throughout your career.
Yes.
You've been a mega producer, not top producer, a mega. So I do that mega producer.
I like that. Nobody said that.
A mega producer, right? 300 units a year is a mega. You opened and still operational commercial brokerage. Then you have a franchise model. Meaning if I want to be a franchise of your brokerage, I can do so. Or if I don't want to be a franchisee, I want my own. I want to own this shit, Meg, all me. You're like, cool, I can help you. Let's talk about that. That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's good for the audience to know, like, hey, look, if you don't want to do what Meg and I are getting ready to talk about, but you would like to have some kind of independency, maybe the franchise model works great. When I launched my real estate investment company, we did it first by being a franchisee for 2 years.
Oh,
yeah.
That's interesting.
And then, in fact, where we're sitting right now is in the office space of Hometown Homebuyers. Hometown Homebuyers
that's really
is actually the real estate investment company I helped found 4 years ago, and I'm a part owner in.
Very cool.
So it's, they're very nice and let us use one of their big offices, and we turned it into a studio. So, but I went franchise model, and it worked for 2 years until it didn't work anymore. And then we decided, you know what, we can do this on our own. So I want people to know, like, if you're interested in that, like, Meg's the person you want to talk to. But what I really want to talk about is, okay, Meg, walk me through this. I'm Dustin Owen. I'm a 20-year mortgage veteran. I do 15, 20 loans a month between me and my 3 LOs. I want to own my own brokerage. Where do I start? Like, what are the requirements?
And right in our industry, that was the light bulb moment, was I'd meet with people 15 to 20 loans, because owning your own brokerage isn't for everyone. I want to make that clear.
A friend of mine who owns Rosegate Mortgage, shout out to Bryce Bradley. Bryce does a kick-ass job in the Charlotte market. And Bryce straight up, he hit the nail on the head. So I'm going to quote him.
I love it.
He says, when you go from being a mortgage loan originator, mortgage broker, mortgage banker, whatever you want to call yourself, an LO, to owning a brokerage, you go from being in the loan business to the people business. And that's the one thing I tell anyone, even those in retail, like my friends at Guaranteed Rate or Cross Country or Fairway or Movement or Flat Branch Home Loans, like Eustis Mortgage, Waterstone, you name them. The minute you want to go from being a top producing LO to a branch manager, okay, well, you're also now an accountant. You're also a little bit in IT. You're a little bit in marketing. Like, you're a little bit in pipeline management. I can only imagine when you go and open your own brokerage. No, you're straight up in HR. You're straight up in IT. You're straight up in compliance. You're no longer in the loan business. You're now in the people business, as well as compliance, legal, investor relations, so on and so forth. But my question was, and sorry for that, where do I start? Like, what are my minimum requirements? Besides, you just told me it's not for everybody.
Correct.
Okay, that's where I'm like, where did I cut Meg off? Where did I interject?
I think if somebody is closing around 15 to 18 million, that they could consider it. You're not going to make huge money, right, until you start doing more, like my situation.
Okay.
But you have, here's the thing, most loan officers think they can do it on their own, because you're thinking about, you can do a loan, you can do a mortgage, you can manage your own pipeline. It is not the same thing. Getting the license, which I know confuses people, getting the license is the easy part. It's not rocket science.
What does it take? Like 3 years in the industry plus $25,000 net worth?
Every state's different.
Okay.
So every state's different. State of Colorado, we just got our license there, like company license. It took 1 week. And we're helping a broker in Georgia right now. And Georgia's saying it's going to take, 3 to 4 months, and they each have different requirements.
Okay. But there is a threshold of, I have to be in the industry for this much time, and I have to have a certain net worth.
Not in all states.
Not in all states.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like Ohio, for example.
Not a state, by the way. Let's pick a new one.
Yeah. Okay.
Not even a state.
Ohio?
It's not. Yeah. Yeah. Not even a state. It's okay. But we can talk about that area, that land mass, that's south of Michigan, and that's north of Kentucky. We'll talk about it.
Okay. So every state's different. There are some states you don't need to have any experience. You don't.
Okay.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
I think that's crazy. That's not, in my opinion, that's not the ideal person to open a brokerage, right? But the biggest thing that we wanted to do, so people had a roadmap, was I just wanted to create a roadmap, because I'm like, it's not rocket science, right? If you already have a team, if you're managing a team, you're doing enough production, people just want, they want to be part of somebody who's helping and giving you the steps, the areas that you're going to screw up, so they don't miss those mistakes there. They don't want to make them. And that's what we did. Originally, we just wrote a course. We're like, okay, let's just write a course, because I didn't have time.
Yeah, you're a mom, you're a mortgage professional, like you're a wife. Yes.
I have a commercial company. I didn't even want to spend time helping people, because that's not where I make money. We make really good money in this business. If I could step back into doing 300 loans, right, I'd be making a lot more money than starting a new business right now that's brand new.
Yes.
And so, but I saw the need, and I saw how many people needed that roadmap. And so how I ended up deciding to do the franchise and helping people was, we have gone through so many things. It's systems. Systems is the key.
Yep, systems and processes. Ford got it right. Henry Ford taught us all how to build a car utilizing an assembly line.
Yes.
But everything that we do in life can follow some kind of an assembly line.
And I feel like people, no matter what is right for you or what's best for you, I feel like in our industry, people aren't having that conversation with loan officers. We don't think about it. We get in, like you said, we're making money. You said you were making $140,000. I never thought about owning a business. We don't think further than how many more units we want to do. Mm-hmm. And that's a big thing that I tell people is where do you want to be in 5-10 years, right? What do you want to be doing? What do you not want to be doing? Do you want the business to depend on you or not, right? And that's where you start looking, because the surprising thing for me about the course, the franchise, when I decided to do the franchise, I said, you know what? The reason I'm going to do the franchise is my brother owns a state farm agency, and I didn't really understand franchising. But my dad, every time I'd throw $30,000 down the drain on a marketing company that didn't work, or I'd waste my time doing something, he would say, can you just call your brother? He takes 6 weeks off a year. And I'd always be like, screw my brother. Yeah. And then it clicked. It clicked for me it was 3 years ago. I was like, he owns a state farm agency. That's a franchise. Okay, so what? He stepped in and somebody showed him how to do this and how to do that. So I'm like, can I do that with what we built at CoLab? Can I take these systems and can I make it so somebody can step in? They get to own 100% of their company, because we don't own their company. And in the mortgage industry, control is your license, the company license, okay, for if you want to own. Because I think there's some misconceptions about owning a branch or doing a DBA. That's not owning.
Correct.
And so we took those systems, including on the franchise side, we can do it with you or we can do it for you.
So let's talk me opening my own brokerage. I want to get back to that.
Sorry.
I want to get back to that. No, I love knowing that. I love knowing that, look, you said it, I'm going to repeat it. Owning your own anything is not for everybody. In fact, I think it's for the outliers. I think it's for the 20%. I think the 80% have no business owning their own. But if you wanted to, because that's what I really wanted to hammer home, and this is what JC's going to chop up and put up on our YouTube channel, which, by the way, if you're not following TLOP on YouTube, make sure you're doing it. It's not just about mortgages. It's everything we should have learned in school but didn't. He's going to chop up this part. Okay. If you want to own your own brokerage, that's a mortgage brokerage. First and foremost, I just heard from Meg the Master, minimum production, $18 million. Okay. Each state's going to be different in terms of how many years they require you to be in business, what type of net worth they may or may not require.
Yep.
Some states you can open up your brokerage in as quick as a week. Some states it could be 4 months. But what am I getting myself into? What are the next steps? Because you have a course I can purchase. You have a consulting firm that I can hire. But when we walk through that checklist, very high level, because we have to do this in 90 seconds or less.
Yep.
What's next? What's the first step besides, I got the license, that was the easy part. What's next?
Now you have to get all your systems up and running.
Systems before my investors? And what systems? Do I need compliance first, or do I need to sign on with United Wholesale or Rocket or Flagstar first?
You can't even sign up for your LOS system, your credit provider, or your wholesale lenders until the state approves your license.
Okay, so my state approved it. Some states it was 1 week, some states it was 4 months, but it's approved. What's my next step?
It would be getting your credit approved, your credit provider.
Okay, so I have to reach out to Factual or Kroll or informative research, and I need to actually get a credit vendor.
You have to get a credit vendor.
Okay.
And then do your wholesale lenders.
And then I need to reach out to the wholesale lenders, and I need to get signed up with them and
That's right.
read a bunch of legal documents that I can't understand, sign my life away. Who knows what it says? Who knows what I just agreed to?
Yep.
Okay. And then after that?
And then once you have those approved and you are approved with your first few wholesale lenders and your credit vendor, you can start pulling credit.
Okay. But I need to have a loan origination system
That most people don't realize if you work at a company that the company has built out that loan origination system. It doesn't come with the emails. It doesn't come with the request list. It doesn't come with the templates.
Yes. This is before a CRM. This is just so I can
This
actually.
is before CRM.
Yes. Okay. And then I probably need things like a copier. I need probably phones. I probably need office space. I probably need a business banking account.
Oh, yeah.
I probably need a operating agreement, which means I need to find an attorney.
Yes.
Okay. And then you kept on talking about being audited 10 times.
Yes.
What in the hell does auditing mean? I've been a loan officer for 15 years, Meg. I've never been audited.
Right. You
But-
don't have to go through that when you're a loan officer working there. And so you, as an owner, you will get a nice little letter from one of the states you're licensed in, and they will want to come in and they will want to see a whole stack of things that you've been doing that for my first probably 3 audits, we weren't doing them.
Wow. And then when they're not doing them, are they nice, or do they like slap you on the wrist, or do they like penalize you big time?
Each state's different.
Okay. And then things I also maybe didn't mention that I'm sure you know about from firsthand experience, things that I also don't have a payroll company.
Oh, no.
How am I going to process commissions?
You're doing good. You're doing
Yeah,
good.
well, you can tell I've opened and run a couple businesses.
Yes.
Some I own, some I'm an employee of, right? Waterstone Mortgage, that's a huge company. I'm an employee of them. But Hometown Home Buyers, TLOP, I have an insurance agency. So yeah, I've been through this. And what I can tell you, that franchise model is looking really good right now. Or, hey, where I'm at
It's looking good.
is looking really good. But I just wanted people to hear it from you and not from me, that like this is what it takes. And if you're there, if you're that person, if you have it, I'm going to tell you, whatever camera I should be looking in right now, like, don't go at it alone. It's not worth it. Like, if you can pay someone like Meg money up front to cut your learning curve from 3 years to 3 months, it's worth its weight in gold.
It is
absolute gold.
Yes. And the other thing that people don't think about that you do this with loan officers, you have to sit there and plan out your business because there's different types of brokerages. Okay, anybody could go open it, but if it's just you in that brokerage doing everything, right, you have a job. It's not a business. If you step away, there is no business. If you think long term and say somebody wants to have a team or they want to be able to go fly to Puerto Rico for 2 to 3 weeks, then you need to think about that business differently so you can have other people come into that business, work it for you, you do what you do best. So you got to think through those things. Yeah. So we do a lot of business planning with people. We set up their systems for them so they have one place they enter all their information and it goes ding, ding, ding. It just makes it a lot easier.
So let's do this. If people want to get a hold of you, right? Because you and I could talk for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours because that's how in depth this shit goes.
It does.
If people want to get in touch with you, Meg, what's the best way for them to reach you?
So the best way for them is to go to our website, which is becomeamortgagebroker.info.
Becomeamortgagebroker.info.
Correct.
Your company is CoLab.
CoLab Lending.
You are Megan Marsh, but you go by Meg. So Meg Marsh, if you want to find her on LinkedIn, it's actually how you and I connected.
We did.
Was on LinkedIn. Meg does a phenomenal job of utilizing videos in terms of instead of sending a text or instead of like leaving a voicemail. Nope, she sends you a video message. I've received several of them and I love them.
It's productive.
Any chance you're going to head out to Housing Wire's The Gathering next month?
That I am not going to because of something. I will be there the next year though.
Okay, well, we'll miss you, but the entire TLOP crew is going to be there. I think there's still tickets available. So if you're, a big dog in real estate and a big dog in mortgage, and you want to be a part of the hottest event for real estate and mortgage, check out The Gathering. We have all the information for this on our website, tloponline.com. This one you should go to. Mastermind Summit 2024, Las Vegas, first week of June. Matt Emery's putting it on. It's a phenomenal event. It should be the LO event of the year. So you should check it out. We have information on tloponline.com. And if you register before the first week of April, there's discounts and there's early bird pricing. And from what I heard, TLOP may even have its own special discount. So y'all go over to tloponline.com. Meg, we're going to be there. JC will be there. Nikki, Mark, the whole crew. I'm speaking on the main stage. It's going to be a badass event. So check out those 2 events. Check out tloponline.com. Check out Meg Marsh and check out CoLab. And if you're interested in opening your own brokerage, she's the person you should call.
Have a conversation.
She's Meg Marsh. I'm Dustin Owen. You've just tuned into an episode of the Loan Officer Podcast. If you like what we're doing, do us a favor. Sharing is caring. Share this with not 1, not 2, but 3 people that you care most about. That's all the time we have for you today. We look forward to catching you on the next episode. Peace.